Good evening, Norcal Karters. It's October 11th, 2021. Thank you for joining and listening, and let's get to it. We're going to make this, as far as the forecast for events, a little bit shorter because there are two huge events coming up that just need a little bit more attention. The first one coming up this week, the Ikf Grand Nationals. So the Ikf Grand Nationals, that is taking place this week, Thursday through Sunday at Prairie-City. And for those that don't know, Prairie-City is just outside of Sacramento by about 15 minutes. So Prairie-City will be hosting the Ikf Grand Nationals this year. And let's see. I'm going to mix up the format a little bit different. Normally, I kind of just go through the events and then I come back and recap. But on this episode, we're going to talk about the Ikf Grand Nationals. We're going to talk about the Rock Sonoma season finale. And I'm going to really focus on those two events. Shout out to our sponsors, GFC Karting. Thank you for the support of Norcal Karters. And Gorilla Barbecue. Thank you for your support of Norcal Karters. And again, this format's going to be a little bit different because there's a lot of information to go over. Primarily for the IKF stuff, because it's happening this week. Again, you can go to Prairie-City Karting, which is pckarting.com. You could also go directly to the IKF website, which is IKF Karting with a K. On this show, karting is always with a K. And their website is ikfkarting.com. And again, that will bring you to the information for the schedule for the IKF Grands, the classes that are offered. So give me a moment here, and we'll just run them down real quick for you. So again, the event schedule. Pre-entry closes tonight, and so get your entries in. You can still register after tonight, but it's going to cost you more money and a long line. So if you want to minimize your time, if it's valuable to you, pre-register. Pre-registration ends tonight. Again, you can still register later in the week, but they will charge you more money, and you will stand in a separate line. So it's going to hold you up from getting on the track. So keep that in mind. You've been warned. So, like I said, there's a lot of information going on right now. So the Wednesday, there is no practice at the track. Prairie-City will be open, though, for team move-ins. So that's a little bit unusual for Prairie-City. They're normally not open. They're making a, what is that word? I'm not great with words. Exception. They're making an exception. They're opening up the facility so teams and drivers can move in on Wednesday, but there is no practice on Wednesday. Thursday will also be move-in. Gates open at 6 a.m. Unofficial practice. So Thursday will be unofficial practice, and there's a move-in. Friday is the start. Friday will be the start of the IKF Grand Nationals, and that will be, again, gates open at 6 a.m., official practice. And the day is going to wrap up with a barbecue hosted by RLV and Rockland Harley-Davidson. So Rockland Harley-Davidson and RLV will be sponsoring an evening barbecue the Friday after practice. So basically what I'm doing, I'm just running down the schedule. So IKFkarting.com, top of their page, boom, there's a link for 2021 IKF Grand Nationals. So Friday will be the official practice. And schedule here, Saturday warm-ups, qualifying, and a couple heat races. Sunday, warm-ups, one more heat race, and the finals. So the finals will be on Sunday. But again, this is going to be a 3-day event. The IKF Grand Nationals are taking place at Prairie-City. And we were going to talk about the race classes. So IAME engines, you will be using the current SCUSA rules, according to the website. IAME engines, you will be using current SCUSA rules. But the classes you can compete in, Mini Swift, KA100 Junior, KA100 Senior, KA100 Masters, 80cc Shifter, LO206 Cadet, LO206 Junior, LO206 Senior, and LO206 Grand Master. So those are the classes you can compete in for the IKF Grand Nationals. Again, there's a lot of information for a couple of events on this podcast. Again, you can go to pckarting.com. You can go to ikfkarting.com for the information. You can reach out to Donald. And for those that don't know, Donald's the owner of Prairie City. And here's a little insider tip. If you want to get free access to the races, call Donald and say, hey, Jason from Norcal Karters said you can hook me up with free access to the races. That's not a free entry. It's a free access to the race. And he might give you a garbage bag, and he might ask you to go empty out some garbage cans or, do some cleaning up maintenance around the property. But that would give you some free access to the track, to the races, and also to the barbecue if you show up on Friday. He could use a couple of more hands at the track just to help the event run smoother. If you're new to karting, and this is the first time you kind of heard this podcast, or you realized, there's an event in Sacramento, it's a national event in Sacramento, and you just want to go check it out, but you're a little cautious or don't know what to expect, call Donald and say, hey, Donald, I can donate, a couple of hours of time over the next week. Where do you need me? And so I know today the wind has been brutal in Sacramento. I live about 35 minutes from the track, and the wind has been brutal. The wind it'll high strong wind advisory till tomorrow. So I'm pretty sure crap is blown all over the track at Prairie City. So just call Donald and say, hey, I have a couple hours. Let me come help you. Let me help you get the track ready. And the reason I'm pushing this one so hard, 2 reasons. One, it's a local big race. And if we don't support if we don't support any local racing, but especially these big ones that come into town, the local drivers that have aspirations to race bigger races, they're going to have to keep traveling. That's just the bottom line. And so if we want to bring races closer to home and highlight tracks like Prairie City, you need to go support them. So this weekend, IKF Sprint Grand Nationals. So again, there's a lot of information here, and I'm kind of rambling pretty quick because I have, part of the information for the Sprint Grand Nationals. I'm trying to get it out to you as fast as I can. Deadline to register is tonight. There will be a late registration fee if you register after tonight. And you're probably not going to have a great pit spot if you're dragging your feet, because at races like this, the tracks fill up fast. So there is accommodation for you, but it might be a little farther than you wanted to go if you registered late. So keep that in mind. From my understanding from Donald, there's also going to be some food trucks out at the track for the IKF stuff. But as I mentioned earlier, the barbecue Friday night after practice for the participants, there's a free barbecue hosted by RLV and Rockland Harley Davidson. So thank you to those 2 companies for stepping up and feeding the racers. Let's see. Again, I'm going to be very redundant. ikfkarting.com. You can get the rule book. You can get the schedule. If you don't know what a rule book is, go to ikfkarting.com and download it. If you're new to karting and you're wondering, what cart do I buy? What about this? What about that? A great resource is the rule book. It will tell you what chassis specs need to be. It will tell you what engine specs need to be. It'll give you a great guideline for you to kind of look around. If you're looking on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, you can kind of have your rule book and go, oh, wait a second. You mean this 1990 Emic may not be able to participate at the IKF Grand Nationals? And it's like, well, it might, but you'll have to update the bodywork and you'll have to update the engine package and things like that. So, again, I've wanted to do this topic for a while. I'm not going to do it tonight. There's just not enough time. But rule books, people. Rule books. Grab the rule books. And if you're a club, I know pretty much everyone I deal with at every club level, they have these great big hearts. They want everybody and their brother to get into the sport. They want that brother to go tell their third cousin, hey, karting is awesome. And I see this all the time online where the same questions get answered and asked. Clubs, do yourself a favor. Whoever your sanctioning body is, whether it's IKF, whether it's SCUSA, whether it's WKA, whether it's Rock Cup, have that information readily available. And if people are asking questions, say, hey, that's a great question. You can find that in section 610 in the IKF rulebook or whatever the question is. And start a little forum for that. And in that way, that one question gets answered and it's on your website or your Facebook page in perpetuity. I mean, it just, you always reference it. I mean, I don't know how many times I hear, where does my transponder need to be? What tires can we run? What are some other basic ones? Oh, do I need a rear bumper on my go-kart? And it's like, read the rule book. It's right there. So, IKF Grand Nationals, if you haven't gotten the point, it's this week. So, move in Wednesday, Thursday. Unofficial practice Thursday. Official practice Friday. Barbecue at the end of the day. I think I'll show up right around 4:59 for the barbecue. So RLV, Rockland Harley Davidson, thank you for sponsoring the barbecue. Let's see here. Then you have Saturday, the 2 heat races and qualifying. Not in that order. It's actually qualifying in 2 heat races. Sunday, an additional heat race. So 3 heat races for the IKF Grand Nationals. Then you have the finals. And if you're asking yourself, well, is it a heat race point system or is it a progressive heat system where if I win my first heat, I start pole in the second heat? You know what? There's an IKF rulebook at ikfkarting.com. Go check it out. There's a section for the Grand Nationals for the point structure. Go read it. So, and I know there's going to be a few guys that are just going to be walking around the pits with that rulebook in their hand. I see it at every big race, and they just can't wait to open that rule book and nail somebody because their fairing is a little bit too low or something else that has no impact on the actual result. But they'll have that rule book in their hand, and they're going to be, but Mr. Tech Guy, here's my rule book, and it says right here. So do yourself a favor. Grab a rule book. Do yourself another favor. IKF Grand Nationals this week, Prairie City. All right, let me get back to Norcal Karters. Norcal Karters events. So IKF Grand Nationals. So there are other events going on this weekend. I'm not going to mention them because I'm pushing the IKF Grand Nationals. You can go to norcalkarters.com, click on events. There's a couple more events going on. Again, there's Southern Oregon Karters, and there's also Karts and Coffee in Modesto. But being that those are conflicting events for the Grand Nationals, I'm focusing on the Grand Nationals for this podcast specifically. So, next week. So, I just spent 13 minutes talking about the IKF Grand Nationals. Next week, Sonoma will have their season finale. So, that's going to be October 23rd and 24th. Sonoma. Season finale, October 23rd and 24th. Their website, sanzarukarting.com. So Sonoma will have their season finale. And they're splitting this event up. What I mean by that, race number 8 is on Saturday. That's one full event. Race number 9 is on Sunday, a whole separate event. So you could call it a double points weekend or however you want to look at it, but it's a season finale. And traditionally, a lot of times the last club race or a regional race in a series isn't, the best participated in. However, Sonoma over the past number of years, they've always had a strong turnout for their final race because a lot of drivers are using it as a warm-up race for the Las Vegas Rock Cup. What do they call it this year? Rock Vegas, I think. Just Las Vegas, Rock Vegas, I think is what they're calling it. So, again, October 23rd and 24th will be the season finale for Sonoma. And it's actually Vortex Rock Cup USA Las Vegas. So there we go. And for those that have listened to this podcast frequently, if I've mentioned Rock Sonoma, there's a really, really good chance I've also mentioned GFC Karting. And GFC Karting, their race events are on our calendar. Gary asked how he could support the podcast. And, sorry, my phone's blowing up, and I just want to make sure it's nothing. Sorry, I want to make sure it's not related to the podcast because I've done that before too, where I've ignored my phone and then, I missed that detail that I could have mentioned in the podcast. So, Rock Sonoma, October 23rd, October 24th. Race 8 and Race 9. That will be their season finale. GFC Karting, boom. Norcal Karters sponsor. His events that he attends is on our calendar. If you're a shop and you want more attention and you want your race calendar on norcalkarters.com, reach out to me. We have sponsorship packages available. So, Rock Sonoma. And guess what we're doing again? When I say we, I'm not a promoter. I just help promote other promoters' events. But I am the announcer at Rock Sonoma, and we are going live again on YouTube. So, Rock Sonoma will be streaming live. So yeah, that's been such a fun project this year. Completely out of my comfort zone, but the results every time they're getting better and better. And this is our season finale as well for the live broadcast for Rock Sonoma. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then also that weekend, CCKRA Championship event. CCKRA Championship event. That's the Central California Kart Racing Association. They typically focus on tracks like Fresno, Santa Maria, Buttonwillow. Those are their tracks, and they have their championship event this same weekend as the season finale of Rock Cup, and that's taking place at Buttonwillow. Again, you can go to cckra.com. They are also a sponsor of the show, and they have a really good website with the class layouts and where you can race. And their program has really grown really well over the past 4 or 5 seasons because they kind of fill that void between NorCal and SoCal. And there are some awesome racers that come out of Central California. In fact, in about 2 minutes, I'll talk about it. Team Visalia, their home series is CCKRA. And I was able to hang out with them last weekend at the Thunder Hill event. And but we'll get into that here in a few minutes. So CCKRA Championship event, their season finale is taking place at Buttonwillow. Go to their website, cckra.com, for all the information you need for that Central California region. And also, I'm going to kind of just skirt over this one pretty quick, but Prairie City, race number 8, 4-stroke weekend is also the 23rd and the 24th. The only reason I'm going to skirt over it is Donald's a sponsor of the site. But that's not why I'm skipping over Donald because he sponsors the site. That's how my advertising works. No, all joking aside, I just spent 15 minutes talking about the IKF Grands. I don't want to confuse people with the club race that happens the following week and distract from the IKF Grands, which is also happening at Donald's track. But you can go to norcalkarters.com, click on the events tab, boom. You'll see all the events right in front of you. So I am going to just wrap it up right there as far as the events coming up. Normally I go 5 to 6 weeks out. I'm not going to do that for this show because what did I talk about earlier? Ikf Grand Nationals at Prairie City. IKF Grand Nationals at Prairie City this week. Registration ends tonight. If you want to enter, do it now. I don't mind if you don't listen to the podcast or put it in the background, but go enter. So that's taking place, again, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of this week. And next week is the Rock Sonoma season finale. And as I mentioned a few moments ago, I was talking about Team Visalia, and I was hanging out with them at Thunder Hill. There was a road race at the Thunder Hill West track. And you can't see it because I'm not on video right now. But the smile on my face is so big. It'd be bigger, but my neck muscles hurt. So as I smile, it kind of pulls those neck muscles up. My forearms hurt. My ego hurts. My chest hurts. My abs hurt. My wallet hurts. But that's just from racing. I mean, wallet just... I don't care where you race, your wallet's going to hurt. But it was so much fun. It was just... Again, I am smiling from ear to ear. And I mentioned Team Visalia because, 8 of them traveled up to Thunder Hill for the NCK road racing event. That's nckroadracing.com. We were on the smaller, tighter track, Thunder Hill West. And what a blast. And I got to know the Team Visalia guys with my duties at Swede Tech. And they're just some of the greatest dudes I've just, in or around karting or away from karting, just in life. They're just great dudes. And anytime I kind of have a chance to go hang out with them, I try to. And this time they came to Northern California. So we hooked up at Thunder Hill. And the NCK group did a really nice job of hosting the event. And it's just such a fun track. And the only downside to it is there's just not, I don't get it. There's just not a lot of guys road racing, and I don't get it. So if you're listening to this and you have reservations or opinions about road racing, post them in one of either the comment sections for the podcast, on my Facebook page, wherever, on YouTube if you're seeing this. Speaking of YouTube, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Norcal Karters on YouTube. I need 1,000 subscribers to unlock a couple of more features, and more and more subscribers are signing up. But in order for me to do live mobile broadcasting, I need 1,000 subscribers. So that would help unlock basically just more coverage for karting on another medium, being YouTube. But what was I talking about? Facebook. Oh, yeah. Road racing. It's like, if you're sitting there going, oh, yeah, I've always wanted to try it, but these are my reservations. Put it in the comment section. Because I don't get it. I mean, it's such a different aspect of karting, but it's so much fun, especially that Thunder Hill West track. We were topping out, I think my fastest mile per hour in a Honda shifter cart was in a 125, not the 80. So the 125 was about 95 miles an hour. I heard some other numbers of 97 to 99 miles an hour for top speed at Thunder Hill West. And it was just, it's a lot of fun. And then the guys out there, it's a whole different crowd than the sprint guys. And I kind of just look around and I go, why isn't there more people participating in NCK or road racing? Is it those that aren't participating aren't even hearing the podcast? They don't know what a go-kart is? Is it you don't have interest in road racing? Is it the accessibility of road racing? What is it? So in the comments on one of my podcast links, if you're listening to this and you've told yourself, yeah, I'd like to do it, but you haven't, that's who I want to hear from. I want to hear from the people that haven't done it. I'm going to try to get Daryl Tunnell on here on the podcast later this week so we can talk about our experience at the track. But I really want to know your feedback on why you don't road race. So just a thought. I mean, again, I'm just kind of rambling, but it was just such a fun event, and a lot of, it's just so different. I mean, sprint racing, it's now, go. And it's like, everything's just so intense. And the road racing, I don't want to say it's real laid back, because I mean, you're hauling butt in a go-kart. I mean, you're flying in a go-kart. I never thought I'd tell myself, I'd be doing 95 miles an hour in a go-kart. But once I was out there, I'm a slow, progressive driver. Meaning, the first session out, I think I did 4 laps. And what NCK does is they have an hour and a half of open practice. The track is green for an hour and a half. You go out whenever you want. You do your laps. They shut it down for cart pickup or whatever if someone breaks or goes off the track. They'll shut the track down, clean the track up, boom, open it right back up, you're out. So you have an hour and a half of open practice. My first session, I did, like I said, I think I did 4 laps. And I just set my tire pressures. I kind of used it as my morning warm-up and get used to the track. I'm not a road race expert by any means, not even close. On the scale of suck to suckier, I'm kind of sucky. But I was out there. I was probably going about 80%. My lap time on my first practice session was a 128 or a 130, which from my understanding is comparable to a Spec Miata. Or at least the guy I was talking to, that's what he ran. So I was, by karting standards, I was slow. I was a chicane. But you know what? I worked my speed up. I got comfortable. I got comfortable with the cart. I got comfortable with the brakes. Wanted to make sure my jetting was good. So that's how I did. I did 4 laps. I came in. My wife and my daughter went with me. And I go, oh, what's wrong? Why are you in? And I go, I'm good. I want to check my tire pressures. I want to check my jetting. I want to make sure everything's good. So I did that, took about a 5-minute break, went right back out. Then I did about 5 or 10 laps. No, maybe probably 5 or 8 laps. I got to remember their lap times. Eventually we got down to 120 for my time. And so it's probably 5 to 7 laps probably. And then I started picking up the speed a little bit and trying to figure out how the cart would react if I hit a berm or hit a curb. What line works for me? Am I in the ballpark on the gear? And then I came in, took about a half-hour break, went back out, and told myself, okay, I'm going to go. I'm going to go as hard as I can. I'm going to see what my lap times can do. And I think I dropped it down to about a 122. So my first session, I was 128 to 130. So we're talking about 1 minute 28, 1 minute 30. By my third or fourth session during the open session, I got it down to about a 121 pretty consistently. And then I started kind of picking the cart apart. It's like, okay, my cart, the balance was good. It was just, it just had cruise control, meaning when I thought about turning, the cart just turned. And it was just too much for me. And so Jimmy McNeil was there. Jimmy McNeil and I go way back. And Clinton Shumby was also there. So I walked over to Clinton and say, hey, this is what my cart's doing. He's driven my cart in the past, so he kind of had an idea of what it felt like. And he goes, hey, did you do anything different? I go, no, it's about the same, just gear, jetting, whatever. So he gave me a couple of suggestions. I did it, thrashed, went out, and the cart was night and day difference. Like, oh, man, this is nice. Okay, now I have a cart. And then we got ready for our first race group. And so the first race group, I just went out on used tires. I told myself I'm probably only going to do half the race and then pull off. Because we had, the road racing does it a little bit differently. It's not traditional heats that lead up to a main. It's, you get race groups and it's winner take all race groups. And so you had 3 races scored separately that I could participate in. So I knew my conditioning was going to be an issue. So I told myself, all right, I'm just going to take my time. I'll do probably half the race and I'll pull off. Well, during that race, I'm kind of I got passed at the beginning because on the starts, my little buddies between my legs, They just don't drop. Something about going into turn one at 80 miles an hour with a bunch of other dudes and not knowing what they're going to do. I just kind of backed out of it safely, and it's like, all right, I'll just do my thing. Well, towards the end of my session, I think I'm going to pull off. Well, I started catching a couple of other karts. I was like, oh, I'm going to go catch them, and then I'll pull off. Well, as I was catching them, I dropped a wheel, rail slid for about 500 feet. I don't really know how far it was, but that was definitely one of those moments like, oh, what do I do? My kart's half in the dirt, half on the track. You definitely don't want to rip the kart back on the track because of the speeds we're doing. So I just kind of held the kart straight. I didn't let off the gas. All right, I'm just going to drive right through this. And I was like, drove back on, looked over my left shoulder to make sure no one was next to me. Slowly pulled back on the track and boom, kept going. And it's like, I kind of lost all my will to race at that moment. It's like, man, I was catching him. Now that there's no way I'm going to catch him. Then I saw the white flag. It's like, crap. Now I have to stay out here for one more lap. But yeah, so that was the race number 2, and then race number 1, then race number 2. My little guys between my legs dropped a little bit further, and I had a little bit more courage, and I started a little closer to the front of the field, and I had a good start, and I had a good rhythm going. It's like, I felt great. And at the end of that session, as I came off the track, I was like, man, I felt really good. My lap times were good. I was definitely tired. My arms were already cramping after the first race. So the second race, they were definitely cramping. And I pulled off. It's like, man, I'm good. I can pack it up. And I sat out the last race. I watched my class go out for the last race. And that was even fun in itself. And it was just, I went back thinking to myself, like, I'm not here for a trophy. I'm not here for points. I'm here for the experience. And it was just so much fun to take it that approach. And, yeah, I'll be back. Especially Thunderhill West. For sure. I'll be at Thunderhill West. I mean, that track, I love it. It's a road race track. Like I said, we're doing about 95 miles an hour in a stock Honda. But then there's hard braking where you're going down 3-4 gears. There's one corner in particular. You can kind of roll through it nice and good, or you can just park it. Like, you could do both. And yeah, great passing zones on that track, but just a lot of fun. So that's my ramble for tonight. Thank you for listening. And again, if you're listening to this podcast and you've wanted a road race and you have some reservations, just post them in the comments. I'm really curious to know what the comments are. And, I can share that with the NCK board, because they work their butt off to try to promote these events and finding tracks. And, I'd really like to see, I want to see more racers at every single track out there. But I feel like the road racing segment, it struggles the most to gain new attention. So, yeah. That's it. So I know I did a lot of rambling tonight, fast-paced rambling. This week, Ikf Grand Nationals, Prairie-City. Check it out. Next week, Rock Sonoma, Race 8, Race 9, season finale. They will be streaming you live on YouTube. And then we'll have another podcast next week at some point. So thank you for listening. If you like the show, share it with your racing friends. If you have feedback on how I can make it better for your personal listening enjoyment, let me know. I'm not opposed to feedback. And again, go to YouTube, like and subscribe to our Norcal Karters channel. CHANNEL channel. So yeah, go to YouTube, like and subscribe to our channel. We're on Facebook. We're on norcalkarters.com. I'm getting a little bit better at posting on Instagram. So that's it. That's my show for tonight. I think. Let me make sure. I have some notes from Donald that I want to make sure I go over real quick. Almost let you off the hook. Let's see here. We talked about the barbecue Friday. Yes. We talked about the schedule, ikfkarting.com. Let's see here. We talked about registration. All right. I am going to be doing the announcing for the IKF Grands as well. I am going to try to do live, podcasting through my channel, through Norcal Karters. So keep that in mind as well. As far as I know, we're not going to have video for that particular event, but I will try to do at least audio of the race coverage, and maybe I'll save that for Sunday when there's less track announcements, because I'm really going there to do the announcing for the track announcement, keeping things on schedule, etc. But yeah, for sure, I'll have the main events on this podcast channel. So let's see. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. And again, if you like what I'm doing, share the podcast. Give me your feedback. Hit like, share, all that fun stuff. And I hope I see you at the track soon.